This is PSN Newsrun, streaming exclusively on YouTube.
Hello and welcome to PSN Newsrun. The headlines. Tinubu honors Ogoni 4, orders oil production restart in Ogoniland. JICA scraps Africa hometown project amid visa confusion. And on the international scene, former French President Sarkozy jailed 5 years in Libya funding scandal. Here are the details. President Tinubu honors the Ogoni 4 and sets in motion plans to restart oil production in Ogoniland, decades after operations were halted over conflict and environmental concerns. Here's Joycelyn from the State House.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has received the Ogoni Dialogue Report and conferred posthumous national honors on the late Ogoni 4. He also directed immediate engagement with stakeholders to pave the way for the resumption of oil production in Ogoniland. Receiving the delegation at the State House in Abuja, President Tinubu reaffirmed his administration's commitment to reconciliation, environmental justice, and renewed economic activity in Ogoniland. The president conferred the Commander of the Order of the Niger on 4 late Ogoni leaders: Edward Kobani, Albert Berde, Samuel Orage, and Theophilus Orage.
We are not, as a government, take likely years of pain endured in Ogoniland. We recognize that. Otherwise, there would be no today. We remember this with solemn respect the Ogoni 13, whose lives were cut short, and the many unnamed men and women whose sacrifices kept alive the flame of justice and freedom. They remain heroes of the struggle. The federal government fully acknowledges the long suffering of the Ogoni people, and today we declare with conviction, hope is here and is back with us.
The president also directed the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, to immediately engage the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, the Ogoni people, and other stakeholders to finalize modalities for restarting oil production.
I move forward as a united community with single voice reconciliation. Is not an erasure of history. It is the commitment to write the next chapter together with joy. I'm encouraged by the overwhelming consensus of the Ogoni communities to welcome the resumption of oil production under new equitable terms, resourceful commitment. Government will deploy every resource to support the Ogoni people in this march towards shared prosperity.
Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State, who led the Ogoni delegation, said Tinubu's confidence-building measures are already yielding results, including progress on the East-West Road and the establishment of the Federal University of Environment and Technology.
You are aware that I've been away from the past 6 months. And within this period, a lot of good jobs were going on behind the scene. When I came in on the 19th, the committee did inform me of this meeting and also gave me a brief. I wish to thank Mr. President, first of all, for keeping to the terms of his promise. He assured us when we met here the first time that there will be immediate establishment of trust, what we call confidence building. One of those things has to do with the East-West Road. And I can say here boldly that the good work that the Minister of Work is doing is visible. drive through Eleme Junction to One. Now, fine, the road is not completely done, but the man-hour spent is less compared to the kind of terrible situation we had at that time. I think our people are happy with that.
National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu highlighted the inclusive process that produced the Ogoni report, stressing that all parties are now ready for responsible oil production anchored on fairness, equity, and environmental responsibility.
While not forgetting past injustices, have reached a point of collective readiness to see the responsible resumption of oil production in Ogoniland, anchored on fairness, equity, environmental responsibility, and direct community benefit. Secondly, the Ogoni people are not merely asking for tokenism, but for structured participation through equity, development, funds, employment, and institutional safeguards. Furthermore, Your Excellency, there is all-round appreciation for ongoing confidence-building measures. It will be recalled that at the beginning of this dialogue process, Your Excellency graciously approved some early confidence-building steps to be undertaken to build needed trust. I am glad to confirm that the considerable process has been achieved in the actualization of these measures.
Chairman of the committee, Professor Don Baridam, expressed gratitude to the President for his commitment to dialogue and for recognizing the sacrifice of Ogoni heroes.
What were the key findings of our consultation? The consultation revealed an unmistakable, overwhelming consensus of our people's readiness for the resumption of responsible oil production in Ogoni. They view renewed activity not as a return to the injustice of the past, but as an opportunity to reset relationships, accelerate remediations, and unlock economic inclusions. This consensus, Mr. President, is neither coerced nor conditional on empty promises. It is anchored on two pillars: equitable participation and credible confidence-building measures.
With these assurances, the federal government is positioning Ogoniland for a new chapter, one that seeks to balance justice for past struggles with the promise of shared prosperity through renewed oil operations. Reporting for PS News, Joycelyn Ella Keche Ada.
The federal government is tightening the noose on fake certificates, setting a nationwide deadline for verification and enforcement. Offenders risk prosecution and dismissal. Marianne filed in this report.
The federal government is stepping up its war against fake academic certificates, setting a nationwide enforcement deadline to clean up schools, workplaces, and public institutions. The move follows recent revelations of Nigerians obtaining fraudulent degrees from unaccredited institutions, including those in Francophone West Africa. Officials say the crackdown will cover both foreign and local certificates, with a deadline given for institutions, employers, and government agencies to verify the authenticity of academic qualifications. Education authorities have warned that individuals caught using fake degrees risk prosecution, dismissal from public service, and blacklisting. Employers are also under pressure to carry out strict background check or face sanctions for negligence. The deadline, government says, is aimed at drawing a line under decades of certificate racketeering that has damaged Nigerians' global reputation and undermined the integrity of its workforce. As the countdown begins, the government insists that this is more than an audit. It's a battle to restore credibility to Nigerians' education and employment system. Marianne Awuya, PS News.
Japan's aid agency, JICA, has scrapped its Africa Hometown project after weeks of visa confusion, insisting the initiative was never about immigration. Let's hear details from Daniel.
The Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, has cancelled East African Hometown Initiative after weeks of controversy and confusion over the program's intent, particularly in Nigeria. The project, launched in August during the Tokyo International Conference on African Development, aimed to promote cultural and educational exchanges between Japanese 4 municipals and 4 African countries. But it quickly sparked headlines in Nigeria after claims that Japan will create a special visa category for young Nigerians to relocate to Kizarazu City under the scheme. Following strong denials by the Japanese government and clarifications from East Ministry of Foreign Affairs, JICA said the terminology of hometown and the idea of designating Japanese cities as such created misunderstanding and confusion, putting pressure on local municipalities. In a statement, the agency apologized and announced it was withdrawing the project entirely, stressing that it has never promoted immigration and has no plans to do so. With the withdrawal, JICA said it will continue supporting Africa through other cultural and developmental initiatives, but the so-called hometown project has now been shelved for good. Reporting for PS News, Daniel Okejeme.
And now, on state news, Lagos has demolished over 19 buildings at the Trade Fair Plaza under tight security, sparking outrage among traders who say their livelihoods are at risk. Here's Miriam with details.
Tensions gripped Lagos on Thursday as the state government moved in with heavy securities to demolish more than 19 buildings at the popular Trade Fair Plaza. The operation, led by the Lagos State Building Control Agency, was backed by armed police and security operatives to prevent resistance from traders. Authorities say the affected structures violated planning laws, posed safety risks, and has been marked for demolition after repeated notice. But the exercise sparked outrage among shop owners, many of who claimed they were not properly informed. Traders watched helplessly as bulldozers flattened shops and offices, disrupting business activities in one of the state's busiest commercial hubs. The state government insists the demolition is part of its wider urban renewal and safety enforcement drive, with livelihood on the line. The trade fair demolition highlights the growing tension between Lagos' urban planning agenda and the survival struggles of its traders. Marianne Awuya, PS News.
Still on state news, judicial workers in Osun State are holding firm. JICA says its indefinite strike will continue until government meets its demands on welfare and judicial autonomy. Ella filed in this report.
The Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, JICA, in Osun State, has vowed to continue its indefinite strike despite appeals for a return to work. The strike, which has paralyzed court activities across the state, entered its third week as judicial workers press home demands over improved welfare and full financial autonomy for the judiciary. JICA members accused the state government of neglecting their concerns, insisting that promises of reform have yet to materialize. Lawyers and litigants say the industrial action is crippling access to justice, with cases stalled and detainees unable to secure hearings. The Nigerian Bar Association has urged both parties to resolve the dispute quickly to avoid deepening the backlog in the courts. Union leaders maintain that only concrete commitment from the Osun State government will end the shutdown. Until then, the strike continues indefinitely. As the standoff lingers, the state of justice in Osun hangs in the balance, with no clear end in sight. Ella Okechukwu, PS News.
On the foreign scene, former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has been handed a 5-year prison sentence over illegal campaign funding linked to Libya, marking another stunning fall from grace. Joycelyn is on the international desk.
Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has been sentenced to 5 years in prison after being found guilty in a high-profile corruption case tied to illegal campaign financing from Libya. The conviction follows years of investigation into allegations that Sarkozy's 2007 presidential campaign received millions of euros in illicit funding from the regime of late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. French prosecutors accused Sarkozy of corruption, influence peddling, and illegal campaign financing charges he has consistently denied. The Paris court handed him a 5-year sentence with 2 years suspended. It is the second time Sarkozy, who led France from 2007 to 2012, has been convicted on corruption charges. His lawyers immediately announced plans to appeal, calling the verdict politically motivated. With this ruling, Sarkozy becomes the first former French leader in modern history to face multiple jail terms, a dramatic fall from power that continues to cast a shadow over France's political elite. Reporting for PS News, Joycelyn Ella Keche Ada.
And that's our package on today's episode. I am Oluwatosin Deba. Good evening.
You just watched PSN Newsrun, streaming exclusively on YouTube. This is your trusted voice for news that matters. Subscribe, like, share, and stay informed.